This is Brian, and I support Fulham FC, and I just did a podcast with a Gooner and a Toffee who know fucking nothing about football. You have been listening to the DU Football Show.
Hey everybody, we're back.
Oh, boy. But it's not that Fulham guy. It's another Fulham guy that we also know really well.
Yeah, but still, 3 out of 5 times we've had to open the season talking about fucking Fulham.
It's the most Fulhamish thing one could do.
Yes, it's the
Let's
best.
start the show.
Born in the land of Bowie, Maryland. Bred to be a fan of fucking Everton. Punch you in the eye and drink your rye. Sam Houston.
Sam Houston?
Arsenal fans have another Sam. AKA the fucking Gooner Graham. Snub of my lord. Look straight in shorts. Sam Graham, hey.
Sam Graham.
Fucking United! Fucking United!
Hello and welcome to the Drunken United Football Show, a completely biased recap of the English Premier League as told by two common American schmucks. I am your host, Sam Houston, and across the way from me, I just don't have words for the hair anymore. I just don't. Him, Sam Graham.
The word
you.
pompadour comes to mind.
Yeah.
I'm not really even sure what it means.
I have jokes. I can't tell jokes anymore, but I have jokes. Just it's too fucking easy. We're recording at not Studio H, DU Public House. Somebody's rusty. You can tell it's the first show of the season. I already called it Junker United Football Show instead of DU Football Show.
Yes,
I am fucking up like there is no tomorrow. We are recording at the DU Public House just outside the nation's capital. You can check us out on all podcast platforms. Please be sure to rate, subscribe, review, and share with a footballing friend. Should you want to chat with us, there is many ways that you can. Mr. Graham, tell the good people how they can get in touch.
Absolutely. We're at DU Football Show on all the social medias, and then dufootballshow@gmail.com to get in touch via email. I'm going to confirm the use of the Discord soon with Smokey, and I'll make sure to include that when we get there.
Excellent. Well, we are also, as well, we've got we've joined the new modern day and now have a link tree as well. So with all of our links and stuff. So you can go to Twitter and it's right there pinned. Our link tree has everything.
And by the way, we have a Patreon, of course.
Right, of
where
course.
we do a bunch of extra shows, bunch of extra content. So you can always sign up to that. I heard 4 different podcasts over our break reference their Patreon, and all 4 of them went www. So go fuck yourself.
Okay, so all 4 of them are boomers like you.
No, they're all younger than me, actually.
And they have the same boomer mentality that you have.
Come on.
Or, as I like to say, Sam, you can always zoom your ass in here.
Yes.
As is the case of our guest tonight. We get to welcome back our boy Jason. Jason, how's it going, brother?
Hello, boys.
There it is.
Back.
Doing it right, cracking a beer.
Lads.
I love it. Hey, Jason, why don't you remind everybody who you support?
The one and only Fulham FC down by the river. You know, Craven Cottage.
Oh, yeah. You mean the team that we're not going to talk about next season, but talk about the season after that. Sam and myself both work in the wine and spirit industry and both have a deep, passionate love for all things distilled spirits. So as the red-blooded Americans we are, we vow to have a drink in our hand throughout this show and every single show. Mr. Graham, I thought the gin binge got cut a little short.
It did.
So let's do some more gin
And
binge.
it's absolutely still hot outside, so it's poignant. Citadel Gin. It's a gin from France. This is the Jardin d'Ette. This is 41.5 alcohol by volume, otherwise known as 83 proof. This is an infusion of 22 fruits and aromatics. It's the summer garden version of Citadel Gin.
Yeah.
Bright and citrusy.
Melon is in there,
melons in
lemon.
there. Yep. It is fucking delicious.
Yeah, it's really, really
And
good.
you also surprised me with a Betty Buzz. Isn't this Ryan Reynolds' wife's? I can't remember her name. Blakely?
Yeah, Blake Lively.
Blake Lively. I just combined it there. Isn't this hers?
I don't know. It would
I'm
make
pretty
sense.
sure. I think this is hers. Did you get it at
Considering-
total?
Considering he owns
Did you get it at Total Wine?
No, I got it at Giant, just at the local grocery store.
Okay, because they have a big thing with Total Wine. I think this is hers.
But of course, Ryan owns Aviation Gin, and to wrap it all in together, Mr. Graham, my new company, Westward Whiskey, that I work for now, used to make this little gin brand called Aviation Gin that they sold to one Mr. Ryan Reynolds.
There you go.
Yeah,
Awesome.
so how they were able to afford to make whiskey.
So I didn't pay for either of those things. Why don't you tell everybody how much they cost you?
Oh, that's the beauty of well, the 4-pack of the tonic was about $9, which is kind of industry standard for a quality
tonic. Yeah.
The Citadel Gin. Here's what's cool about Citadel Gin. It's one of those craft gins, New World style, even though it's obviously from France. They don't have any overhead because Citadel is made by the Pierre Ferrand company, who makes Mason Ferrand cognac. You can only use a cognac still 1 month a year. What the fuck are you going to do with it for the other 11 months? Make a really kick-ass gin. So this would typically, you drink this gin and you think, oh, this is a, $39.99 to $45.99, like most of the craft gins out there are. Oh, no, this is $24.99 on the shelf.
Fucking awesome.
This runs the same price as a lot of your kind of your Beefeater, Tanqueray, Bombay Sapphire, and all that good stuff, too.
Ah, sweet.
We're going to just have to hope that the mics aren't fully picking up my dog barking his head off that I kindly asked the wife to put into the crate. But you know what? We got a fucking show to do.
Yeah, it is what it is. What are you going to do? We're like Sublime, right? With Lou Dog running around stage the whole time.
Heard. Exactly.
Yeah, it's fine.
All right, boys. Sam, what else should we always do?
Remember to please drink responsibly.
You're also rusty, so there we have it.
I'm rusty. You have to remind me all the fucking
Cheers. Cheers from afar, Jason. Cheers from afar.
Cheers, fellas.
All right, so we start every season. We always
either talking about Fulham or not.
Kinda.
Binary relation.
Hold on. What's going to happen next year? 1, 2, 3.
Relegated.
Hey, one always stays up. And
you want to play
alert,
point?
I think
your
this is
words
the one
hurt.
that stays
Your
up.
words hurt.
Words hurt.
You want to play 1, 2, 3, point up or down? 1, 2, 3, down. I'm joking.
But every year we do a little segment we call Getting to Know You. It's 3 separate shows where we talk to supporters of the clubs that just got promoted.
Yep.
Because frankly, we want everybody to kind of know about them. We're a show who talks about every match, so we want every club to kind of hear about the clubs that are coming up.
Of course. And the other piece to that too is a lot of weird shit can happen in the championship. You get a lot of players that want to leave, some on loan, some on permanent.
Right.
Some clubs, have to sell off their best talent to make sure they can survive financially without all of the extra money, because the parachute payments only only Band-Aid over so much.
Right. Of course.
So teams, when they're coming back up, sometimes look vastly different, and it's completely different to what we would have known the last time they were in the league. Now, there is one constant, of course, Mitrovic.
Yes.
Who broke multiple scoring records.
Mm-hmm.
43 goals
43,
in 44 games. So
wild.
Jesus.
At one point, by I think it was middle of March, he had better than a goal a game average.
Wow.
Yes, and did for most of the season, and had broken the previous record that was the new record for the championship. He had broken Ivan Toney's record by February.
Yep.
So let's get into it first and foremost, because when we did the show the first time, we had your buddy Brian, who handles Fulham in the USA, and we had you do our 20 for 20 show. And then, of course, when unfortunately you got relegated, we had you come on to kind of go over everything that went along with that as well, which I appreciate you doing. And big shout out again to Brett from Burnley to get on and do that.
Absolutely.
Because that was a gut punch of a way to go down.
Yeah.
And he took it all in stride and talked about it. And
yeah, we only made him tear up. He didn't actually cry. It was good.
But why don't you go ahead and tell us your story with Fulham? What brought you to Fulham Football Club and why you are a supporter?
Yeah, I back in the days, a lot of your older-ish fans may know, like, there was no soccer on TV. It just kind of wasn't a thing. You get a MLS game and like a Champions League game like once a week, and you just didn't have a lot of choice. And these days I'm in heaven, like I have an MLS team here in Atlanta that I have season tickets for. And it's like never dreamed that would be a thing where I can interact so much, but the internet is, just exploded. But back in the day, I watched the 2002 World Cup and I was like, oh man, we did so well. We went to the round of 16 and got knocked out by Germany. And I was like, where do these guys play? Like, well, like I kind of want to be into this soccer thing. It's cool. Like it's, World Cup is at least like the Olympics. You can watch the country play and cheer for them. Like what a lot of fun. And so I watched for a few years and not wanting to be a bandwagoner. I watched the Premier League when I could and in other games, and I got into playing it. And then finally, I think I noticed that Brian McBride and Carlos Bocanegra were on the team, and I was like, oh, okay, I think I'm going to be a Fulham supporter. Let's see, let's watch the space a little bit. And then I was fully on board, like when Clint Dempsey came to town and kept us up. And like I watched the year before with, I think it was 2 years before when we stayed up at the final day against Portsmouth. And just, kind of ever since then, it's like written in the stars, like you kind of have your emotional connection to your club and everything since then. Even this March, I was able to go over there for 4 games, 1 home and 3 away. And like, just the relationship with the club, it can be a big club like in the Premier League, but it's always a small club. It's always a family club. It's always got that family atmosphere, and that's what
100%.
Everybody coming back.
We've always joked about them being the most polite football team in the country.
Okay.
I mean, their stands are very much just rated PG.
Okay, so
it's like the opposite of the Millwall fans. It's like everybody likes us, we don't care. We're full of it. It's just the opposite of Millwall, sort of.
So we got to shelf one thing real quick because there's a lead you buried in there that I have to ask this question. So you went over and you saw 1 match at home. What were the 3 away matches?
I was thinking the same thing.
All right, so Blackburn was at home, and then I saw Barnsley away. Well, I saw Swansea, West Brom, and Barnsley away. So we won.
Oh, how was West Brom? That's the Hawthorne old classic ground, man. How was that?
That was great. They have a heating unit or a hot water boiler or whatever as their mascot, and that's all I wanted to see when I went up there. It's just a block of like white, like foam, like parading
boing,
around
boing.
the pitch and stuff.
Yeah,
So,
that's the sound.
That was at the end of a brutal like away stretch, and we did lose that game, and nobody was really upset because it was like, yeah, that was great going to the Hawthorns. It's a little bit of a trek to get to outside of Birmingham.
Oh, I can imagine.
Do you still have your wallet?
I do.
Coming
actually,
that close to Birmingham, you never fucking know.
Yeah.
Somebody might jab you.
I was blitzed downtown after the game because I was like, fuck it, we lost. I don't care. And somehow I stumbled into a hostel and kept all my like
belongings together.
Yeah, somehow.
Did you develop a crack addiction?
I got over that very quickly. Just had to get out of town in the second city and
then Swan. So you said Swansea as well. Obviously,
yeah,
Cyril is no longer the Cyril he used to be, but
right.
You still get to see Cyril the Swan for fuck's sakes and go. There was a guy who attacked another mascot in that costume back in the day.
Yeah, I still think it's funny that West Brom does boing boing, and that's the sound your water heater makes before it gets relegated.
I was gonna say they beat Fulham. That's probably one of Brucey's only wins because Brucey took over and they fell right into mediocrity, exactly on that Brucey level that it needs to be.
Yeah,
they really did, and I thought they might have more of a fighting chance, but Huddersfield was a surprise team of the season in the championship.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know how they made it to the playoff final. I mean,
well, some would also say
Barnsley too.
Well, Barnsley fell off. That was
you're right.
Horrible.
What was the other team that came up that was in the playoff final?
You had it was Luton.
It was Forest.
Luton Town.
Forest.
It was Luton Town. They played in the final,
right?
Because they only had a budget of like £1 million or some shit.
Well, they didn't play in the final, but they got to the playoffs.
They got to the playoffs.
Amazing.
Luton got to the playoffs.
Yeah.
It was Huddersfield and Forest in the final.
That's right. Huddersfield beat Luton after they overturned the deficit in the second.
But it's also worth mentioning Forest, which we'll talk about when we do the Forest show.
When I took a break, I forgot fuck everything.
Yeah, exactly. Clearly, I just think that it's your brain seeping out of those curls coming off your head.
Might be.
There's going to be one
Forest
or two angry Luton supporters.
So
Yeah.
with
I'm gonna
Forrest,
email you, tweet at you.
let them email. We love angry emails. We actually get off on them. Like it's
They're
like,
the best.
oh, you want to talk shit? Let's talk shit.
Yeah.
For Forrest, also, they were in a bad way to start the season, and they shot up the
Yeah,
table.
when Steve Koppel took over,
Yeah.
they did like night and day.
He was old Swansea manager, and he did such a great job. I don't know how they got off such a terrible start, but
Forrest was a shit show prior to him taking over completely. Like the back room,
really
the
were,
ownership, the way they bought. At one point, they had like a squad of like 40 odd people. It was like, it was ridiculous. They had to clear a bunch of dead weight out, a bunch of people that were detrimental to the locker room.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, this is about your club again. So why don't you give us a little bit of a history of Fulham, one of the oldest clubs in the country, one of the oldest clubs in London, actually.
It is the oldest club in London, not the oldest club in the country. I believe that goes to, I'm not even going to say because y'all get a lot of emails in, but I believe it's Sheffield United.
I think it is Sheffield United officially. I think they went by Sheffield
that's
City
still in the
back
league.
then.
Yeah.
But the first professional fixture ever played, so technically you could say that that's the oldest professional game, period, is Aston Villa versus Everton.
Right.
It's the first ever professional game played.
And it's
Yeah,
the longest
Notts
standing
County
rivalry.
Notts County is up there as well.
Notts
but,
County, Preston North End.
I think they were Notts City as well back then.
Yeah,
And Nottingham Forest actually quite old as well, speaking of them. But yeah, Fulham was one of the first teams in London. So why don't you give us a little history about your boys?
Yeah, just started as a little Sunday school club, St. Andrews Presbyterian, and they just fielded a team and became official in 1879. And it's very Fulhamish that even on the stadium it says established in 1880, and nobody's ever taken it down because we think it's really funny that it's, in the brick facade outside Craven Cottage, established 1880, when everyone is like, actually, it's 1879. So that the club has this, always had a sense of humor from the beginning. And
too nice to say you're wrong.
Yeah.
Too nice to say you're wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And moved into Archibald Leach was an architect that went up and down the country and was constructing stadiums. And one of a very famous old architect, and decided to do a decent amount of football stadium. And I think he designed Craven Cottage on the ground where there was an old cottage, and it was built in 1906, I believe. I have to look up the Wikipedia, but I'm not gonna right now. Anyway, being the master architect that he was, forgot to include a dressing room for both teams. So that's how you get the new-ish cottage built along with the stadium in the corner. So now when you go to the stadium, when you walk up, a lot of Americans are expecting big parking lots around stadiums, and you just walk up and it's a street, and then there's a brick facade, looks like old-timey brick, and you can see a stand over the brick, and then you get in there and you're like, oh my goodness, this is a whole stadium, and it's right beside the River Thames, and it's got the cottage in the corner, and it's just one of the most unique, consistently on the list of stadiums you have to visit in England.
Yeah, I really want to go to Craven Cottage.
Likewise.
And also, didn't with this build though kind of hamstrung y'all, because Craven Cottage is listed as an historical site, so you can't build bigger. You can't tear it down and redo. You can't. It's just you have to only remodel existing shit, basically.
Right.
Yeah, and so 3 of those sides are National Historical Landmarks,
right,
basically, and you can't do anything with that. But the Riverside stand we did remodel, and I couldn't sit there, but it holds about 10,000 more people now.
Oh, good.
And it's a giant stand now. It looks a little bit out of place. It's kind of crazy, but yeah. So we can remodel the Riverside part, which we did.
Now, rumors.
There's a pool on top and everything.
Yes, get it. Yeah. That's what I want. I want to go get in the pool.
Yes, that's what we always joke about that and everything. And it's kind of like Jacksonville Jaguars-esque, because our owner also owns the Jacksonville Jaguars. So.
Yep.
But I mean, that's blending the old with the new, and I'm totally fine with that. And nobody's upset with that in the club. And since he's been in, Khan has shown like ambition like that. So,
Well, yeah, ambition. He tried to fucking buy Wembley. Remember?
yeah. For a second.
All right, so we've already hinted at this a little bit. If you're noticing, there was a few American names mentioned. Fulham has always been kind of nicknamed the America's Premier League club. And I want you to kind of get into that, and not just obviously the player side of it, but of course the ownership side of it as well.
Yeah. We've always had American players. There's always been a contingent, whether it's been in the youth team sometimes or mostly in the first team. And now it seems like we're becoming more like Fulham Portugal, which we'll get into with the transfers and the manager and everything, which I'm also excited about. But yeah, we've had around 11 players in the first team from the U.S., and it's always been consistent down the years. Currently, we have Anthony Robinson, Jedi.
Yep.
And we have Tim Ream.
And Tim Ream occasionally makes the United States national team, but Jedi is a regular starting left back. I'm sorry for the United States squad right now.
Yes.
Yeah. And I had the privilege to meet his parents when I was over there at the Barnsley game. Because I heard another American asking for directions in Barnsley, which is like just go past the Brown House because they're all Brown House. And nobody needs to go to an away day in Barnsley. It's not the greatest. Go to Swansea or West Brom. Those are better away days. But I heard him, and he recognized Jedi's parents. And I was like, I guess we could go say hey. And they were so nice. The mom's, I think she's from Liverpool, and the dad's from the U.S. And he's got a sister who plays as well. And I think she's in the women's national team. You set up
the mom's Scouse?
Yeah. I think
all
so.
right, you still have your wallet?
Not my hubcaps. I have my wallet, just not my hubcaps.
Brilliant. And then a little bit about the ownership.
Shahid Khan and Tony Khan. There's a big controversy there because Shahid Khan is like daddy money, and then Shahid Khan wants to get. Shahid Khan is daddy money, and Tony Khan is like daddy's little rich boy and kind of wants to get in on the transfers and, really impress dad, I think, a little bit too much. And he also is in with All Elite Wrestling, and he's doing a really good job with that. That suits him to a T, like bombastic American kind of. But, quiet West London Fulham, that's like, they don't take to him as much. So, but that's fine. He's doing okay. The transfers, like, he stepped back a little bit, and he's been busier with the wrestling, which I like. So we'll get to the transfers in a little bit, I'm sure. But you got to take one with the other is basically what it comes down to. It boils down to at the end of the day. You have to take it.
It's like the Cronkies or the Henrys, same thing. You got to you got to have the son,
right?
Because the dad's not going to be that involved,
right?
And even when it's to a detriment, it just is what it is.
And 23 minutes into our first show of the 5th season, Graham has already brought up his pro-Arsenal agenda.
But it fits,
actually negative.
I mean, it fits.
Yeah, but it was just you bringing up Arsenal. Somehow comparing it to yourself.
Am I defending Sam Graham?
No, don't defend him.
It's a poignant comparison. The other thing is, I'm going to lay the controversy to rest right now. Tom Selleck's mustache is still better.
Okay, heard.
End.
Heard.
Mr. Khan can take that fucking rat tail wherever he wants.
Oh.
Okay.
You were ready with that one in your back pocket.
I've been thinking about it for 2 weeks.
I will tell you, though, what, if y'all haven't heard the Magnum PI intro, it's the best banger in the history of TV, like drama shows. Like, it's the best theme song in the history of TV, Magnum PI. It's excellent. Mustache, I don't know. It's got the curly Q with Khan, and I don't know, debatable. At least we don't have the MJ statue anymore. At least Michael Jackson is gone.
Yeah, that's good. You should have thrown him in the river. So there's two things that I've wanted to bring up that I kind of missed the opportunity for, but this brings. Do you remember the Japanese baseball team that they won a championship and they were kind of not necessarily rioting, but they were kind of being a little rambunctious around town. And there was a KFC, a Colonel Sanders statue out front of the KFC in that town. They picked it up, threw it in the river, and that baseball team never won another Japanese championship. To the point where a fairly well-to-do fan commissioned a search and rescue for the statue to return it to its place and lift the curse.
Well, we just won a championship in the championship.
Exactly. So right.
Good.
Well, MJ was a bad person, so that's good.
There we go.
And then
Just
the
for
other
you,
one,
Jason. Go ahead, Sam. Continue.
the other one was when
Banger,
we were
baby.
talking about the mascots.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, the Japanese. I heard this story the other day too. The Japanese love a mascot, right? To the point where PR firms will create mascots and then have them go pitch themselves to businesses like, hey, can I be your mascot?
Oh, shit.
Look how cool I am. Yeah.
It's a big thing.
I
It's
think
a
that
big
should
thing,
be
the Japan mascot.
more normal around the world.
This is
We got Billy Badger. We used to have Sir Craven. He was a knight,
Yeah.
but now we got Billy Badger, and Badger's.
I love it. That's
80s
good.
is fuck production.
All right, let's bring it back. So you guys have been a bit of a yo-yo club recently, obviously, as we've alluded to and joked about directly a few times now.
No.
What are you all doing differently this time to try and solidify your place in the Premier League?
That's
if
a
anything.
very good question, because that's the question that is on everybody's fucking minds at Fulham and every Fulham fan's mind. And the answer is that we're just building on the successes. Thank goodness, like, we actually did make it into the Premier League the last time, even though we got relegated, because we kept more quality players. And so we're just building on that quality bit by bit. And we have a new coach. And this is the big deal to me, is we have a new coach that has done it in the Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
And knows what the Premier League is about. And the past 2 times we've had great coaches. Some Fulham fans would disagree with me in Scotty Parker, but I loved him as a player. He's one of my favorite players. Coaching is a little bit dour, and the way he left also left a sour taste in Fulham fans' mouths. But we've got a coach now that can do it in the Premier League. He's proven it, and he's proven it with sides that weren't necessarily that great.
Mm-hmm.
And he's back, and he's so determined. He's like, I can tell you, he doesn't give a shit about that first place in the championship. He is all about this season, and he wants to prove everyone wrong, and he's back with a vengeance, really.
Well, that's it, really. It's a manager that's been there, that has the experience, but also has something to prove. That's what I think is your biggest asset.
Marco took us to 5th place, Everton. We're battling you for the final Champions League spot, literally to the last 3 weeks of the season. It was down to the wire that season.
That's what I'm saying. But the way he left, because it all soured very quickly.
Oh, God, yeah.
He's got a point to prove. And I think that's very important and a very big asset to Fulham this season is Marco Silva and that determination, those doubts that people have over him because of his tenure with you all and with Watford.
Side question for you here then, Jason, because one of his biggest problems at Everton was there was no plan B.
No plan B. Okay, I thought you were going to say set pieces.
Well, yes,
jumped the gun on
definitely has trouble with set pieces. We gave up a lot of set piece goals,
that's been a problem for Everton since 1873.
Yeah,
so.
No shit. Except for when Don Carlo. That's the only year we had a good year of set pieces where we scored more than we gave up. Yeah, the eyebrow. The eyebrow, take it away. Yet another thing from Liverpool. God, it was so
I just wanted to be known that I made a 1-sentence comparison about Arsenal, and you're going on a fucking diatribe right now.
Because I miss you, Carlo. Come back. I love you.
Yeah.
Don't let Frank hear that. No, but he typically had a hard time having a plan B. How is his game management improved with you guys as the head coach? Did he have when the particular game plan wasn't working, was he able to shift it, and did it work then?
What seemed to be the focus of us, like more than a plan B, was like in the championship, you don't necessarily, you can be a Route 1 team and just smash it down the pitch, and
that's why Mitro's so good.
But we weren't. We'll get into that in a second, but. Or you can try to play and be really good at that and you can get away with it. In the Premier League, it's such a tough league because you have to be so much more versatile. Like you can't play one week to the next the same. You just can't have the same game plan. What was in the championship more of a concern for us was the set pieces, because his teams historically have just given up so many goals. And I think we gave up the fewest goals on set pieces. So it seems like he's learned from his mistakes in coming back and like having ambition in England. As far as a plan B, it was better than Scott Parker. Scott Parker seemed like he never had a plan B, or never knew what kind of subs to make, or never knew his players that
he would always make them late as well.
Right.
Scott Parker.
Yes.
When the game was
did.
screaming for a winger to come in or whatever, and he'd wait till the 72nd minute to do it instead of 65 or 60 minutes.
Right, of
and
course.
give that player a proper opportunity to build into the game and have some time to actually fucking do something.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, I will be a bit of an apologist if he gets a couple weeks or a playoff final, like to do something, or in the playoffs he did like with Bournemouth. He will study the shit out of you and he will give you a game plan. But week to week it's tougher, or like 3 days or 4 days. But as far as Marco Silva, that is his weakness that I still feel like we are just setting up for. But like we never needed a plan B because we could counter as well as have the majority of possession and be better at possession.
Well, fuck, he scored 19 goals in 3 games.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
What was it? 7-1, 7-0, and 6-1 or some shit? Whew.
Yeah, 6-2. And it was like,
yeah.
And so it's almost like he even would set us up to be like, if teams want to play against us, that's great. What really would hurt us, and what is going to be a thing that is the question that, as far as a plan B, I feel like we're trying to get the personnel in to even stop having a plan B. I feel like we want to keep it 0-0 at halftime against a really good team like a Liverpool or a Man City, and then have a ball-winning midfielder, which we brought in the transfer window. And then, like once we go down a goal, that was like a tough time for us in the championship. If a team would like get a goal up on us, and then because we had 9 losses, which is kind of crazy for a team that won the championship
and won it with ease too.
Well, the big thing is you didn't have a ton of draws.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
A lot of those where you would drop 2 points or what, that's what keeps your point total low for real. I mean, you can have a few losses, but if you're winning a majority of your games, you could rack up points very, very fucking quickly.
I also recall a lot of those losses too being a lot of 1-0s.
Yeah. So
Lot
your
of
goal differential
1-0s.
didn't hurt a lot either. It wasn't
Right.
a lot to really hurt your confidence there.
Yeah, I remember very early in the season, one of the ones that wasn't like 1 goal loss was against Coventry, at Coventry, and they beat us 4-1. They had a dodgy penalty given, and it was like, but that was the point where it's like, all right, is this going to work? Is this guy good? Did we like get rid of Scott Parker and he wanted to leave, and now we brought in a manager that, and I'm of the opinion that he's better. We got an upgrade now.
I'd agree.
But
You did. Yeah, I would say you did.
But then it was like, oh my God, it was like 8 games into the season and we lost to Coventry, who just got promoted, like 4-1. It's like, geez, fucking Christ, what are you going to do? So, but Sam, that's a great full Sam, which is how I'll refer to you since you've been on our streams, and Sam Graham has not been on our streams.
Yeah,
watching
I hang out with the Fits. I like people.
Pull 'em in
Graham
the South,
hates
baby.
people.
Yeah, we stream them online, so
Here we go.
gotta hit us up on our Twitter. Anyway, yes, that is a question that we're going to have to answer in the moment next year. We have to have a plan B, and what is it?
Now,
we don't know yet.
Let's go ahead and get into the signings, who you've sold. We're going to we'll do the targets in a second, but let's think of players over the last couple of seasons that you've moved on from, that, were big pieces for this season and last season. And then who have you brought in to replace those players? Because you spent a lot of money the first time you came up, a lot of money, and it did not go well.
We splashed the cash. It was over 100 million, or around 100 million pounds, I think. And we got two of the guys that we bought in that window, Sari and Anguissa, are officially out now. I think Sari's Hull has got him. His character arc, his story arc was really cool because we got him back this past season from Turkey. We recalled him on loan, and he really kind of grew to love the club again, and like, you know, the chants and everything that we would sing to him, and so that was really cool. And it's kind of sad to see him go, but he's 30 years old, so he doesn't have much of a ceiling with us.
Right.
So I hope he does well at Hull. He's out. Andre, Frank, Zambo, Anguissa, all the names. Anguissa's out. I think he's gone back to, I think he's going to stay with Napoli, actually. And the big one, maybe besides Sessegnon, our best ever academy product, which I got to see live and in person when I was over there in March, is Fabio Carvalho. He's gone to Liverpool. And he is a talent. He's a, you know, I hate to make another sports analogy on a soccer podcast, but he's a 5-tool player, baby. He's got everything. He's got the mentality. He's got the vision. Even when he was linked with Liverpool, the whole time, it never let him like get distracted from wanted to do with us and helping us out. Like, he's a young guy. I think he's 20 years old now, but he's got the focus, he's got the talent, he's got the ability.
He is one of the ones who missed a penalty on the run of missed penalties the last time you were up in the Prem. Remember, there was that like 6 or 7 penalties in a row. Like, they just would keep getting penalties, and everybody would fucking miss them.
It did not matter.
No one could make a penalty.
It's very Fulhamish. I don't even. Yeah, I think I shut the last season out. It was so heartbreaking.
Lookman had the slip and fall.
We really were so close, and against Mel's Villa, you know, we were up for 10 minutes maybe, and then Villa scored like 3 on us, and so we were right back down in the relegation dogfight. But so those are the big ones. There's some more
that happened to
Liverpool
too. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. But those are the 3 big ones that are out that every Fulham fan, like, that would be on the tip of their tongue. Is Carvalho, especially, like, number 1 going to Liverpool. But I hope he has a great career. He was great for us, and like, fair play to him. Like, go on, son, and do your thing.
Get that money and reinvest it.
Yeah, and then Sari and Anguissa, and we got somebody from Liverpool, Harry Wilson, and he's a winger that I think we can do it in the Premier League.
I liked Harry Wilson when he was on loan at Bournemouth that final season that they were there.
Yes, and he has only gotten better. I can't tell you how good he was for us this season. Like, I think he's top in assists, and he did the double-double. He got double goals, double assists. I think 17 assists, 10 goals.
Damn.
But, you know, when you got a striker like Mitrovic who's banging in 1 every game.
Now, how was his health for you? Because when he was with Bournemouth, that was his one issue, is he got banged up a lot.
He didn't get injured that much. I think maybe he had like one like knee or leg issue, but he played most of the games. Last season.
For 40 some odd games in the championship, there's going to be at least a knock. You're going to miss a couple.
The championship is just brutal, but it's a league you can never predict. Like, 1 or 2 teams, like, yes. But the rest of it, you just absolutely never know.
Do you have any other signings that you've made so far that are of significance other than like youth players?
So Paulina, and we've been dying we need 1 or 2 center backs. We need 2 center backs really, and we need a goalkeeper again, because I don't know if Rodak can do it in the Prem or Gazaniga, but they're decent. But are they Premier League quality? We don't know. We're linked with Bernd Leno. So I would love to get him in before we do our preseason in Portugal. We're linked with a right back, Kevin Mbabu. We're linked with Andreas Pereira, who was playing at Flamengo, who was at Man U. I think he can have a reset on his career. Manor Solomon, we're like, the rumor is he's done the medical, he's signed, but because of the UEFA stuff, he plays at Donetsk, Shakhtar Donetsk in Ukraine. We're going to wait till August 1st to announce him because of the UEFA rulings and all the red tape with that. So
Fair enough.
He's a left winger. He's from Israel, but he's made a name for himself there. So, but the one guy we have brought in is João Palhinha, and he is exactly what we need alongside Harrison Reed. In the defensive midfielder, like classic number 6, like going to break up play, break up any counterattacks down the center. Like we always play Arsenal like first or second game of the year, and they tiki-taka it around us for like a highlight reel goal every single season. And we always miss that guy that like can break up that play, and he's a big physical guy. So I'm really excited. He's one of the most needed positions. And we've only signed one guy so far, so it's got a lot of Fulham fans really, really nervous about that. But I think the Manor Solomon thing is done. They can't legally announce him until August 1st.
Right.
So,
the goalkeeping situation. There is now a plethora of goalkeepers in Newcastle.
Yeah, no shit.
Somebody's going to need to go on loan.
Yeah.
Or get bought. Because you've got Dubravka. You've got now Nick Pope, who got signed.
Who's going to be the starter.
And then Carl Darlow.
Yeah.
Who is a perfectly serviceable Premier League goalkeeper. I thought he played fairly well. Not as good as Dubravka, but played fairly well when he had to deputize for him when Dubravka was hurt all the time.
Darlow and Dubravka can both get it done in the Premier League as a full-time keeper.
I wouldn't be surprised if somebody made a pass at him, and you guys, I think, are probably best poised to do so, because I can't think of another team that needs a goalkeeper worse.
Right.
And they're not going to go anywhere and be an automatic starter.
And let's face it, Newcastle's not going to ask for an arm and a leg for these players. They print cash.
They got money.
Yeah, they print cash.
Yeah,
They really
oil's
don't care.
up.
They really don't
And
care.
so here's my point with this too. As opposed to the past 2 times we've been up, we're being linked with players that are of definitively higher quality and or have proven themselves in the Premier League. So you get a guy like Palhinha. I'll just read you a short blurb from a sporting fan I talked with on Reddit. He said, I asked, like, oh, is he aggressive? Like, what's this guy like? And the guy responded to me, I've watched him play since he was like 16 or 17. The current version is this. Do you ever get the feeling you're watching a game and the defensive midfielder is everywhere? He shows up tackling on one side of the pitch. 10 seconds later, he's covering a passing lane on the opposite side. That's Palhinha. You feel like there's 4 of him at any time on the field. And like, I could have like thrown a little party there, because that's exactly with Harrison Reed and Palhinha like that. I mean, Harrison Reed covers every blade of grass, but he's not as tactically sound as what it sounds like Palhinha. And he's got to prove himself, of course, but we need that shield in front of our center backs.
Yeah,
and we need to
absolutely.
get some more center backs in.
Well, that'll also free Harrison Reed up to be a number 8, or Harry Wilson to be a number 8.
Exactly.
And they'll be able to play their more natural position.
And Harrison Reed with Southampton was a Premier League player. He's still a Premier League player. Like, a lot of more guys in our squad are Premier League players. Like Harrison Reed, I'm not doubting.
Oh, Harrison
like,
Reed's a workhorse. He'll be fine. That's
and he can
that's a name you can write
grass.
on the team sheet every, like, he's one of your first 2-3 names written on that team sheet every time.
Yeah.
If you're Marcus
Exactly.
Silva.
And
He's
so
a
when
hell
the
of a player.
shackles are off him, I'm so excited that we have that cover and that guy in there. So that's literally, we signed him for $17 million for 5 years.
That's not bad. A decent little bit of business, that.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
We asked you all that to ask you this. Where do you think you're going to finish? Are you staying in the Premier League, and where do you think you're going to finish in that beloved table of ours?
Yes. So, Forest have already signed, I think, 5 players for around $44 million. But it's not the quantity; it's the quality with us at this point. And I think those 4 others, Solomon, Pereira, and Babu Lino, we need a center back. So, like, if we can make those signings, don't have like a medium side championship team that we're trying to upgrade to the Premier League and panic buy this time. So what I think we're going to finish around 15. And here's why. Because I think that if we can sign those players that we're looking at, and like they're like, quote unquote verified rooms, but I think we can get them to come. It's not a hard sell to get a player to come to London. Okay.
Right.
You know,
London's a very easy sell.
Yeah. 100%.
yes, even if it's full.
Yeah.
It's harder if it's Brentford and Chelsea. I mean, who knew hiring a Russian oligarch would be a bad move in the long term? Who knew that? Who knew getting in bed with the bad guy would be a bad move?
Well, I think Brentford, you're talking shit about Brentford. I think that's it. It's right next to fucking Heathrow. You can go home whenever you want. You don't have to pay the cab
well,
fare.
that's true. Yeah,
You can walk to Heathrow from there.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, I think around 15th, because I think Forest and Bournemouth are going to go down, and I think that the other team that's going to get relegated along with them is either going to be Southampton, Leeds, or Wolves. And we're the new Portuguese outfit in the Premier League. Like, we beat Wolves to Palhinha, so I guess we're changing from full America to full in Portugal, which is fine with me as long as we stay up. I don't care.
So I tend to agree with who you think is going down on. I
Except
think,
Wolves.
I think the Wolves is the only one I disagree with, but I also think the other one too that you can't look past is now Villa was able to manage to stay up their second year in the league, and Leeds was able to stay up, but a lot of times like Huddersfield Town made that big push, got up, went down their sophomore season.
Mm-hmm.
Sheffield went down in a blaze of glory in their second season.
Sophomore slump.
I fear and wonder for Brentford. I do.
Yes, I would love that.
I knew that would make you happy.
With Christian Eriksen jumping ship.
Yeah, because
that
team was in a bad way before they got Eriksen, and then it got right while they had him. That is clearly a position they need to fill, and if they don't fill that, they in trouble. And it doesn't matter how talented their front line is.
I do though, however, that being said, I do look forward to the Walking Dead season 2 Manchester United. Sorry.
That's good.
Really.
It is a blessing that Christian Eriksen is still with us. I'm joking.
I do have one last question for you. I'm with you, Jason. I tend to agree. I do think that one team that gets promoted always stays up, and I think the team best suited to do it is Fulham. I think management makes a huge difference.
I think Marco Silva, he's got an axe to ground, and I think he's like, all right, we won the championship. Great. We won. We got first place. Fulham got a trophy. Awesome.
Staying up is more important than that trophy.
I want to prove everybody that said I was wrong. I want to prove them wrong. I want to come back with a vengeance, and I think that is the biggest thing. And he has the experience, so that's what I'm as confident as I can be about this team.
I think Fulham will probably stay up also.
Yeah.
I have a hint of a disagreement with Bournemouth. I think Scotty Parker will have learned from the last time in the Premier League, and I think he will make changes to his game game management rather to give Bournemouth every step of staying up. Then he will get a better job in the Premier League. Bournemouth will get relegated. He'll fail at that job, and he'll be the next English manager after Gareth Southgate.
I agree with you up to the point where I just don't think their transfers in have been as good as they should be. I think his personnel is gonna fail him, and I think they're gonna get relegated. But
I don't necessarily disagree with that. I had to make the joke fit somehow.
Yeah. So
I very much worked back from the punchline in my head a second ago.
So here's the question, and you already hinted at it, but I want to make sure everybody knows, and I forgot to add this to the list of questions. Would you mind to tell everybody who your direct rivals are in England in general?
I mean, obviously the ever famous Gillingham.
Gillingham. Jesus Christ.
Everybody knows.
We're starting off our 5th season talking about fucking Gillingham. Oh my God.
Yes. They're a little bit down the league table, but Brentford, of course. And as Brentford see us, we see Chelsea and vice versa, as far as like, oh, we think they're such a little team, but guess what? They made it to the Premier League and we didn't.
Yeah.
But we did beat them in the playoff final, which will never get old saying. So we've gone up 3 different ways. We've gone up in a full Wembley against Villa. then you beat your closest rival. Well, not closest mileage wise, but like one of your closest rivals league table wise for most recent history in Brentford, in an amazing fashion. And then you are champions and you come up for the third time. So like, let's hope it sticks. But Brentford, Chelsea, who am I forgetting? Gillingham.
QPR probably is over that area as well.
Yeah,
QPR. Yeah, that's the one. I was like, there's a huge one, but you know what? We always beat them. So
yeah, I mean,
great.
it's not
Like,
really Chelsea's the one.
Yeah, Chelsea's the big one, and then
they're closer.
And then Brentford's become very bitter because
and you know what? They're like
bunch.
the little brother that gets one over on us one too many times, and it's like, ooh, they've become a real thorn in my side. But QPR are probably historically the ones that we're closest with as far as rivalry, and we ground shared with them a little bit in the early 2000s. And we tend to beat them, so that's always a fun rivalry where we're like, oh yeah, that's good, great, yeah, we love that. So those would be the big three. That would be QPR, Brentford, and Chelsea. Those would be our rivals.
Hey, they got a chance to lose 4 West London derbies this year.
Sure money.
And it'd be so Fulhamish if we lost 2 times to Brentford and then they got relegated. But you know what? If you gave me that, I might take it.
You'll be very gracious in defeat as usual, I'm sure. All right, so
we'll eat our sponge cakes.
Shore Money's back this season, of course. This is where we give you our picks and our bets to better inform you on your bets.
Right.
So obviously we're not making bets yet. We don't do that until the season begins. But I wanted to pull up some of these odds for some of the futures of the Premier League with our newly promoted sides.
Excellent.
Okay,
let's do it.
So, Jason, tell me if you'll be taking any of these in your betting.
Oh, I will.
I used bet365.co.uk to find these odds and to win the league. Anybody want to have a guess?
2,000 to 1 for Fulham.
Jason?
Yeah, I'd have to go like 5,000 to 1.
The bookies learned from Leicester. It's only 1,000 to 1.
I was going to say bookies don't want to give out 5,000 to 1 anymore.
Yeah.
They learned from their mistake. It's 1,000 to 1 for Fulham to win the league. The top goal scorer in the Premier League, if you will, of course, you had to do it, Alexander Mitrovic. He is 40 to 1. To give you comparison,
that's not terrible.
Arsenal's Eddie Nketiah is 66 to 1.
Aha.
Yeah.
So,
which sounds about right. Yeah.
Not too shabby. Timo Werner from Chelsea. Well, no, I can't do that anymore. Fuck.
It'll always be Chelsea in your head.
Yeah, it will. Timo Werner, 50 to 1.
That sounds great. Yeah, I would take those odds on Mitro for sure.
Timo's problem, though, is he sees a wide open goal and then he kicks it anywhere but the wide open goal.
So do you remember when we coached the boys playing my dad and his team back in the day in the U18s?
Yes.
My father was famous when somebody shanked a shot or put it over. He'd, from the side of the field in his coaching position, would yell, "Between the poles!" Just like that. And I feel like if Mr. Graham Sr. was still with us, that we could just position him.
And he would just scream between the poles.
At Stamford Bridge for £50,000 a week to scream between the poles of Timo Werner.
Yeah, it's not that hard. Love it. All right, what other bits you got for us?
I say Mitro. I'll take a bet on Mitro getting 15 this season.
For 40 to 1, I'd put $20 on it.
Yeah.
Why not?
Not out of the possibility.
No, absolutely. I mean, he's not going to do it because Salah exists.
Right.
But it's just there. To be relegated. Okay? Fulham, 6 to 5. Not great. Short odds.
Not good.
Short odds. I think that's more based on history than it is based on this summer and their performance last season. Not the worst though either, because Forest have shorter odds than that.
Oh, what is Forest?
Forest look
10 to 11
destitute as far as like talent.
10 to 11.
They have a good coach and they brought in some signings, but yeah, they look like us in 18-19. I'm starting to get the feeling.
Fair. Yeah.
Everton to be relegated, 10 to 3. 10 to 3 contest. Not great odds there either, my boy.
Well, I mean, we gave them a reason to put those odds up last season.
And then Arsenal, just for context, because I wanted to rub it in your face, my fine large friend is 500 to 1.
500
to get
1.
relegated. Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's remember where you were the first 3 games of the season. 0-3,
okay.
bottom of the fucking table.
Yeah, not even.
What are the odds for Spurs to finish above Arsenal? That's what I want to know.
I couldn't find it on the fucking thing. I couldn't find anything fun. I was looking for fun stuff, and I couldn't find anything fun. So we got stuck with this. To finish in the top half of the table is the last one that I did here that I looked up. Fulham and Forest actually tied on this one, which is weird because the relegation was different.
Right, you would have thought differently.
Both of them, Forest and Fulham, are 7-1.
I would take Fulham ahead of Forest, definitely. I would take Fulham ahead of Forest. What was it? I have it right here. Just give me 1 second, which is going to take 5 million years.
No problem. While you're doing that, I'll pull this up. Remember,
Well, I have comparison teams to talk about.
Okay, you can get to comparison teams in a second. I
Dicky
was say
Doos.
Sheffield in their first year, 9th place. Leeds in their first year, 10th place. So,
Oh, yeah.
it is not out of the realm of possibility for a newly promoted club.
Europa League.
7th place their first year. Yeah. I mean, it is not out of the realm of possibility for a newly promoted club to shock the league and finish in the top end of the table.
Exactly.
It's not, and then I'm looking at the teams that finished 10th and down this past season, and Newcastle was 11th. I think they'll finish in the top half because money.
Because money.
I don't think we'll finish. My hope is just 17th.
Right, stay up. Just
Fulham
stay
fan,
up.
But I'm expecting if we get these guys in that I want, like 4 or 5 more transfers, 4 of the ones I listed in a center back, I'm expecting like 11th through 16th.
Very good. All right, what's our comparisons, Mr. Graham?
Your comparison teams are Liverpool and City are tied to finish in the top half of the table at 1 to 1,000. You have to put up 1,000 British pound sterling to win 1 British pound sterling.
Oh my God.
Sure money.
You know what? That's a
money
safe bet unless I take that bet.
Yeah.
And then everybody bet the opposite.
Fucking plane crash and the team has to forfeit the rest of the year.
Yes, exactly.
And then Manchester United wanted to throw this one in there, 1-12, which I think is disrespectful. Considering they have a literal zombie in their team.
Yeah.
I am so excited. Actually, I can't believe the words are coming out of my mouth, but I'm so excited to watch this train wreck that is Man U.
Oh, yeah. It is fun to watch Man U again.
Yeah.
Now, Liverpool and City are becoming like Manchester United was in the late 90s and early 2000s.
Right.
And annoying the absolute fuck out of me.
Mm-hmm.
But watching Manchester United, I mean, if they're not the next season of All or Nothing, I'm unsubscribing from Amazon Prime.
Has to be. We need Man United to be all or nothing.
Isn't this the season, like, not to get with the pro Arsenal agenda, but I'm just going to ask, isn't this the season where Arteta either shits or gets off the pot, man?
I don't think so, because they're backing him big time. So it's going to be a weird one, I think. We have a favorable beginning to our schedule. We don't really face a fellow top 6 side until I think the middle of September. We get back from the international break, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Might be wrong
Sometimes
about
you just
that.
need the mo. You just need the mo.
But I think, I don't know if it should or get off the pot time yet. I think they may give him one more season past this to figure that out, because it was such a big rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
It was such a big rebuild.
Okay.
But he's made some astute signings. I mean, every player that we've signed, I think, does improve us. There are positions in which that I think we still need some improving.
Mm-hmm.
But there's players that, like William Saliba, for instance, the guy we bought from, I think, Marseille a couple seasons ago, that we loaned immediately back. He still hasn't played once for the team outside of preseason. He's on Arsenal's roster this year. He's going to be an Arsenal player this year. And
this new breed of managers, I feel like Arteta has proven himself more astute than like Scott Parker or Frank Lampard or this new breed, like these new guys that are coming in.
Absolutely, but he also spent.
But I feel like
he spent 3-4 seasons under the biggest football pervert on the face of the planet, in Pep Guardiola.
Yeah,
So that relationship helps. I think that's 100% why we got Gabriel Jesus. That sort of stuff is those relationships and that Rolodex that he has now after being under Pep Guardiola. So I think we do have a good opportunity to crack on. I think Tottenham have strengthened in the right areas. If you're looking at immediately into next season. I think if we don't make the Champions League, but we're close again, I think he's fine.
Yeah.
If, we finish in 8th and have no European football again after all the money they spent, they're fucking kicking him the curb.
Tottenham's not the team you're looking to jump. It's Chelsea that you're looking to jump to get into Champions League. That's the team.
It's both,
yeah,
really, because Chelsea had their shit way at the end of the season.
Out of all the managers, I'm sorry, like I'm definitely biased, and I didn't want to come out with my anti-Brentford agenda or anything, but out of all the coaches, speaking of Chelsea, like managers I wouldn't want to play for, it's Thomas Tuchel. Good God, he seems like a right ass to me. Out of all the managers.
I would agree with that.
All right, cool. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up. Mr. Graham, any parting words?
Glad to be back for another season.
Yeah.
Glad y'all are still listening to us. We really appreciate you. We appreciate everybody else. We said it at the end of last season. I thought I'd start off this season doing the same thing. Singing you all's praises, because without you all, there is no this. It's just back to me and Sam talking on the phone in the car again.
Exactly.
So, and that's a lot less gratifying, if you could believe it.
It really is. It really is, especially when somebody doesn't change their voicemail to being off of vacation for 2 straight weeks.
Did that on purpose.
There's some voicemails. There's some voicemails from me where I just call out his manhood and tell him how he is a disappointment as a human being and things like that. So.
Oh, I saved one.
Oh, you saved one. Okay.
Let's see here.
Be like a man and a professional. You've been on vacation. You've been 2 fucking weeks. God, you're lazy. You're calling me. I'm going to answer. I love you. Bye.
That's the kind of messages I leave him.
Delete.
Yeah, I leave him that kind of stuff. Like, you're just a disappointment as a fucking human.
Every time I go on vacation, I forget for about 10 days to change my voicemail. It's still not changed, and I did it on purpose to piss you the fuck off.
It does piss me the fuck off, and I'm going to leave you lovely voicemails like that every single time.
I'm changing it as soon as I get home now because the bet's done.
All right. Jason, please plug away. Let everybody know where you like-minded Fulham supporters can find you and the movement as a whole for the country. Just exactly.
The movement, baby.
The movement
for sure.
I just like the fits are a lifestyle. Fuck you, man. The fits are a fucking lifestyle.
You know what just popped into my head? When you said the movement, the line in Know Your Enemy from Rage Against the Machine that popped in my head was, "We don't need the key, we'll break in." And then I applied that to Fulham very quickly and said, "We don't need a key, we'll just very politely knock quietly."
With our clappers, we got clappers too. And we brought charcuterie as well, and cheese boards, Victoria's sponge cakes.
The name of the episode: Getting to Know You, Fulham. We brought charcuterie.
Yes. Yes.
Right down now.
That's brilliant.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. We
Plug
even
away,
sold it
sir.
after we went up. We sold a Champions cheese board that was engraved with the Champions 21, 22 champions. Just like that. One of my last blurbs was hating on Chelsea and Tuchel, but you can follow us at Fulham FITS at Fulham Fits. We stream the games. Full Sam can tell you because he comes on and watches.
I'll be on there
sometimes.
this season, I promise.
Yes, please, baby. Come on, Sam.
I
Graham.
promise.
Yes. But you can watch with us from anywhere in the world on Facebook. Just become a member. Preference is given to those who are of the Fulham dereliction. And you just have to answer some questions. Search just Fulham in the South on Facebook, at Fulham Fits on Instagram, and at Fulham Fits on Twitter. We will watch with opposing fans. We'll watch with anybody who wants to watch with us. So come on down and
I might join
yourselves.
their social groups too.
I've hung out a couple of times with the Fits, and the Fits are fucking fantastic. A great crew of people. Love hanging out with them.
Yeah, they're Fulham supporters. Of course they are. They're like everyone's fucking. They're like the guy that turns up in the sweater and the khakis, but he's always so agreeable.
And they'll bring charcuterie, for fuck's sake. And I'm a man of larger carriage, and I like greasy meats and cheeses.
I'm gonna DM you my address, and if I don't get a fucking charcuterie board for the first game of the season,
Fucking brilliant. Oh, Jason, thank you so very, very much for joining us.
Well, the pleasure.
And thank you, boys and girls. Please check out our link tree. That's right. We have joined Modern Society. We have a link tree that is pinned to our Twitter page.
Yes.
All of our socials, dufootballshow.com. We are not recording an injury time tonight because there has been a little side project that I've been doing as well, where I've been, for our Patreon listeners, doing a countdown of my 100 favorite songs. They're little 4 to 5 minute bits, and I'm just finished recording to song number 11, so I'll be recording 10 to 1 next week. And the day Taylor arrives here in Baltimore is the day my list will end. So, and then of course we do.
What a fucking magical piece of shit that is!
I know. Trust me, it was also very odd. I'll give away a song. It was very odd that, in just dumb luck, that Anarchy in the UK was on July the 4th.
Nice. Fuck. Extra parting words.
Yes.
Postscript. P.S.
Yes.
No more Boris. He's gone. Boris is done.
Yes.
Yeah. Somebody, one country has gotten their shit together.
There we go. Very good.
Exciting.
And
exciting.
Should one want to check out our Patreon, Mr. Graham, how do they go about doing that?
It's very easy. It's www.patreon.com/DFootballShow. We got one sexy little $5 tier for you. Just sign up to that. You get all the extra stuff at Soundcheck, which is our actual sound check, catching up from the weekend, checking our levels. Sometimes we don't get one person talking.
No, we don't.
It's funny as fuck. And then Injury Time, which often turns into DU After Dark for our more, adult listeners.
And all of that, of course, the Patreon link can be found on our link tree along with our closed group and our new and improved, starting in just a few weeks, our new and improved Drip Shack.
Yep, where I cannot wait for them slides.
Get some Pro Arsenal
so
Agenda gear, some Bants gear, some moment of silence for the Dutch tulip, all kinds of fun stuff.
The hashtag Bants have been brilliant this summer so far. I am very excited to see what happens the rest of the few weeks here.
For Gen Z, WWW stands for World Wide Web. I just want to throw that in there.
Well done. All right, everybody. Till next week.
Bye, Boomer.
See ya. Up the Fulham. Come on, you Whites.
Born in the land of Bowie, Maryland. Bred to be a fan of fucking Everton. Punch you in the eye and drink your rye. Sam Houston.
Sam Houston.
Arsenal fans have another Sam. AKA the fucking Gooner Graham. Stump of a lord. Look straight in shorts. Sam Grammy.